hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the wonderful Lake District once again. You can see we've got this gorgeous vista of Bassenthwaite Lake behind me. This is a much less visited area of the Lake District National Park. So looking forward to introducing it to some of you guys that may never have been up here before. Now today I want to talk a little bit about how to see the landscape in terms of photography. I really hope that you know what I mean by that when I say it. I think it can be one of the biggest frustrations that we can face as landscape photographers. Here is a perfect example. We've got this stunning view over Bassenthwaite Lake back towards the Skiddaw Range. We've got the town of Keswick over there, and it is beautiful. You know, it doesn't take a landscape photographer to know that that is a nice vista. However, when it does come to the photography, it can be really frustrating, because chances are if I take a wide shot of this vista now, either with my phone or with my camera, anything, I'm probably going to be a little bit underwhelmed when I get it home and I start editing the photograph, you know, in my post-production software or whatever. And I kind of want to talk today about my approach, especially when you've got vistas like this that to stand here and look at are so beautiful, but it can be so frustrating to try and photograph it because you might not be getting the emotion across in the photograph that you take if you're just shooting wide, and you might not have a clue why. So it's definitely one of the biggest annoyances, I think. It's a question that I get asked a hell of a lot. It's definitely the question that I get asked the most when I run one-to-one photography workshops. So I want to kind of talk about it a little bit more today. So you can see I'm set up here. I've taken a couple of shots already, and I want to talk you guys through them to start off with. You see, if you look behind me there, the hills and the sky, it looks like that classic sort of Windows screensaver, you know, like default one. I was just looking on the back of the camera then. Perhaps it's just me. Anyway, you can see we're set up, and you can probably tell I've got my telephoto lens on the front here. Now, I have taken that wide photograph over Bassenthwaite Lake here, the very one that I was just berating only a few seconds ago. But I've done that for good reason. I want to show you how I'm going to pop that photograph actually up on the screen now. I did it as a long exposure because I was trying to add a little bit of something to it to see if I could make it work, but it just wasn't doing it for me. So you can probably see it now, and I'm hoping for the most part that it's going to be quite underwhelming, which is not something I'd ever say about one of my own photographs, but kind of just to prove a point, you know. And it's nice, I'm sure you'll agree, it's pleasant. It might be the sort of image that you'd find in a travel guide or a magazine or a blog post or something like that on the internet for this area, and it's the view that people want to see. It's nice, but for photography it's rubbish. Like, it's just flat, and it's all right, you know what I mean? Like, it's all right. Bit of a snapshot, and that's why I've now changed to my telephoto lens. And what I really try and do, right, my approach is figure out what it is that makes a landscape so special. Okay, so here is tons of things. It's always tons of things. It's pretty much unlimited. There's like farmsteads knocking about. The lake is really nice in itself. We've got the Skiddaw Range. We've got these beautiful low clouds. The light's really changeable. Of course it is. We're in the Lake District. So it's beautiful. We're getting these nice patches of light all the time. We've got a load of dry stone walls. We've got small woodlands. We've got lone trees. It is absolutely never ending. We've got reflections down on the lake. Once you start seeing all these things, that's when you can start breaking the vista apart. And that's what the telephoto's class for. I actually talked a hell of a lot more about my telephoto lens in my last video. I'll put a link to that if you want to see, you know, telephoto photography a little bit more in depth. But yeah, once you start figuring out all these things separately, you know, what makes this whole vista so special, that's when you can start thinking more about the photography. So I want to talk to you about what I found the most attractive out of all of them things. So I've been really focusing on the Skiddaw Range itself across the way, so across Bassenthwaite Lake itself, and all this beautiful low cloud that we've got. It's just kind of lingering atop the range. It's absolutely beautiful. And then we've got all these sort of burgundy coloured screes, and then also every now and again, because the sun's coming from this direction, we're getting these incredible patches of light that's creating this drama on a day that really, at the minute, what time are we on? 20 past 4, and of course because it's summer it's a bit bright and harsh and quite boring. But that's where the drama is for me. So that's why I've got the telephoto lens on. I'm right in tight at 200mm, and every now and again we're getting these beautiful patches of light that are just kind of moving across them screes, them gorgeous burgundy screes, and every now and again, even more specifically, that light is lingering just below some of them low clouds, and zoomed in really tight, I'm finding that we're getting some really, really nice photographs. And to me, you know, this is where you can get really creative. That is a hell of a lot more exciting than just a wide angle shot of this whole scene. And I said this in my last video as well, instead of just ignoring the wide shot, it's almost like the classic thing to do, isn't it? You come up to a fell or a hill, shoot wide. Just do it, you know, get your wide angle lens on exactly like I've done, just showing you that photograph, and get the big wide vista. Done, it's in the bag then, fantastic. But then you can start thinking a little bit more about what it is that makes the landscape so special. And that's it, that's where you start seeing the landscape and you start seeing photographs dotted about. It's a really nice feeling. It's really frustrating, but it's a really nice feeling when it starts coming together. You start seeing little things, and trust me, it's all about practice. I know a lot of people hate hearing that. I did it first, but it's the absolute truth. The more of it you do, the more you start seeing photographs, and then in turn, obviously, you just get better at landscape photography and composition ultimately. So I'll figure out whichever one was the best photograph that I took with the telephoto of those beautiful patches of light, and I'll stick it up for you guys to see now. Hopefully one of them comes out quite nice. Alright, so I've come away from where I took them last photographs, and I guess that's something else that I wanted to just quickly stop and talk about is, you know, that was the sort of main vista. That was the reason that I came to this place, to get that beautiful view over Bassenthwaite and see what photographic opportunities awaited me. But I think it's also important to remember, especially when you're up at a fell like this and you've got views all the way around, don't give all your energy to that classic view. You could be missing out on a hell of a lot that's surrounding you, you know. At the minute, I'm just walking up to this fell here, just to see what else is over there, see if I can get some better views in different directions, for example. At the minute, you can probably see in the background, we've got all this beautiful sort of low-lying clouds, really dark grey, looks quite stormy. That's something that I'm really liking at the minute. The light over there is completely different. Not saying I've found anything photography wise, but obviously I'm just keeping the old eyes open to see what I can find. But yeah, I'm going to head on up to the top of this fell now, which is a little bit higher than we were before, and see if something else awaits. Oh, so you can probably see here, that there, I think it's called Ling Fell, and we're getting some beautiful light currently, so I'm having to act quickly. Fortunately, I've still got the telephoto lens on the camera, but it's the light at this moment in time that is really catching my eye, you know, and I'm actually in many ways so glad that I've come away from that lake, because I think it was a bit of a magnet for my creativity. My head was telling me, Henry, photograph the lake, photograph the lake. Now I've come away, I'm able to look at the surrounding landscape in a new light, no pun intended. So like I said, I've got the telephoto on already. Fortunately, we're in the middle of the day, so chances are I'm going to have a nice quick shutter speed, and I don't need to bother with my tripod, which is quite important because I need to act quickly. So I've quickly put my settings on. ISO 100 to start off with, of course. F6.3, and that's giving me about 400th of a second as I'm shooting that way. So let's have a look. And this is a brilliant type of landscape photography. It's reactive. We're reacting to this beautiful light, you know. This is something I never could have planned for. Oh, so after a little bit of time, I've managed to get one shot, judging by what I'm seeing on my LCD screen on the back of my camera, that looks all right. You know, it's definitely going to win any awards. You know, it's not going to be a classic or portfolio shot or anything, but it's nice, and I just love knowing, and you guys should be the same, just knowing that you're making positive steps with your own photography when you're noticing things like this. Even if you don't get the shot, you know, if you've noticed it and you've thought, oh, there's a photograph there, that is such a big positive with regards to your own personal photography journey, you know. Perhaps like myself, for example, a couple of years ago, I may not have noticed anything like that. And one day you'll react to the light because you've learned and you've practiced, and you'll get an absolute peach of a photograph. So I'll tell you my settings, because I think people are a lot more interested, especially when I'm not using a tripod and stuff. ISO 100, obviously I had to act very quickly. F6.3 and 1/640th of a second, zoomed in right in at 200mm. And off in the distance there, you saw it a little bit, we were just getting the occasional really nice soft subtle patch of light, and I've zoomed in across the grass. There's a little bit of this grass in the foreground. It's a little bit out of focus, but it's a really nice telephoto effect. And then we've got this sort of woodland. It's kind of takes up the meat of the frame. But again, it's the light. It was that soft, subtle light that really made this photograph. If I took an image of it now, it'd look really flat and rubbish. So I think it's going to be pleasant, but again, it's all about seeing things. There, that was light. I saw the light and I reacted to the light, and I mean, it's hard to tell at the minute, but I think that's probably going to be better than the wide shot that I got of Bassenthwaite Lake again. So another really good example there, fingers crossed. Oh, it's nice. It is nice. What a spot. I feel like the northwestern area, or most of it at least, is a little bit more subtle than, you know, your Langdale valleys or your Scarfell range in the west, and even areas of the east as well, which is a good thing. You know, it should be looked at positively. Probably see just the end, what would be, I don't know, like the northern tip of Bassenthwaite, which is the same lake we shot to start. It's amazing. You can see that out to the coast, out to the Irish Sea, the Solway Firth. I think on a clear day you could probably see over to Scotland as well, to like Dumfries and Galloway. It's really nice. It's gorgeous. I hope I got my message across though. I'm not going to take any more photographs because I'm not really feeling it, but I really hope I got my message across of how to see. You know, it's hard. It's not something I could just cover in like a 10-15 minute video. It's difficult. Shameless plug. If you want to learn more about composition and the art of composition, the art of seeing, get my ebook. Like, it's a hell of a lot more in depth, and it's as helpful as I can be, I think, with trying to help you to understand how to see, how to take photographs, what to do when you're on location. It's pretty sort of step by step as well, and I've had really good feedback from it as well. So definitely check that out. I'll put a link to it here and in the video description below. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Always appreciated, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Out.